This is Red Wings Live on Fox Sports Detroit, and it's presented by Arby's. On a Tuesday evening, welcome inside the Fox Sports Detroit studios. Welcome to Red Wings Live. I'm John Keating with the former goalie Darren Elliott. We begin tonight with our exhaustive research on Winnipeg. For a decade and a half, it's been named, I'm not kidding here, the Slurpee capital of the world. We're guessing because you don't have to worry about anything melting there. But suck it up would refer also to the Wings there tonight, who were less than stellar on the road last evening. Yeah, and it had drew the ire of the coach. Coach Blaser wasn't happy with the way they played last night, and it was probably a little bit perplexing to him because they came off possibly one of their best efforts of the season against the Nashville Predators, and he's referenced 2 of the last 5 games he didn't like the efforts, the last one being the Vancouver Canucks game. All right, we'll see how they bounce back tonight, and the Red Wings were ready for a different voice after last season, and thus Mike Babcock moved to Toronto, and Jeff Blashill moved to Detroit. The voice, for the most part this year, has a different quality to it, to be sure. Not quite so harsh, which makes it seem that much louder when the new coach goes off on his team as he did last night.
We went through a long stretch where we were engaged every night, and we were doing a pretty good job managing the puck, and we were on pucks lots, and our energy level was high. I didn't think that was the case in any of those categories tonight, and as a result, you get the loss.
One of the things that Henrik Zetterberg says was way too many turnovers here tonight. Is that how you saw it as well?
Yeah, 100%. We had probably a season low turnovers in Nashville. I think that's the formula for winning. We might have had a season high turnovers tonight. You have no chance to win when you turn pucks over like that. So we got to get it solved for sure. That's my job. We're going to have to figure it out.
Seemed like a lot of perimeter play too. Not as easy to get to the net as you'd maybe hoped to, and that's part of the game plan here tonight. What was up with that? Is it more their defense? You're just not executing your game plan here tonight?
Well, I think one, and when you turn that many pucks over, you just don't get any speed coming up the ice, and it's hard to really generate much than everybody. They're standing in front of you, and you're standing still. Two, when we did have opportunities generated moving up the ice or even in the O-zone, we turned those pucks over because we tried to overpass instead of shoot it and drive the net. And, the one time Helmer drove the net and we got a shot, we got a tripping penalty called out of it and had a power play that I thought was pretty good. So we weren't even close, in my opinion, tonight.
Peter Mrazek was fantastic, though, especially in the third when it seemed to open up a little bit.
Yeah, through the first 2, I didn't think we gave up much. The third, they pushed way harder than us. We turned tons of pucks over, and they were all over us, and the game probably should have been over if Peter hadn't have stood strong there. So he gave us a chance to still win.
Another crack at it tomorrow. Any lineup changes you can tell us about?
We're going to evaluate. I'm not, wasn't pleased. We got to find a way to make sure that's, in my opinion, 2 and 4 games where we weren't even close to good enough. So either we got to switch guys out or guys got to play better.
Jeff Blashill in conversation with our Trevor Thompson in St. Paul last night, and so there was lots of wondering in this studio, among other places, as to what kind of changes the Wings might make on the day after a less than stellar effort. And much of today, we were still wondering whether Luke Glendening would shake that flu bug that kept him out of last night's game and whether, in fact, he'd be able to play tonight.
And the good news is he's going to be able to go into the lineup. We talk a lot about what Luke Glendening does. Not often, though, do we talk about his offense. He comes off a game where he scored the game-winning goal, first game-winning goal of the season. But in the month of December, he's been stellar. 5 points, goal, 4 assists, +3, 53% in the faceoff for the season. So we know what he does defensively, but offensively, his game has rounded into shape from a fourth-line perspective. That comes back in against a real gritty Winnipeg Jets team.
And Joachim Anderson comes out. We thought that Eric Tangradi, who the Wings just called up from Grand Rapids, might slide in to face his former teammates because he has some of that size, but he is not playing, and Thomas Jurko remains in the Wings lineup. So Glendening is in, Anderson is out. That's the only change. One change in goal. Jimmy Howard in for Peter Mrazek, who played very well last night. More on Howard in just a moment. Glendening is a proud Michigan Wolverine. It's about an 1,100-mile bumpy drive from Winnipeg to Hockeytown, and yet this game tonight has a very Michigan feel to it. And with more on that, let's head to Winnipeg. We bring in our Trevor Thompson. T.
That's right, Keats, and if Drew Miller were playing tonight, we would say that 8 is enough. But without Drew in the lineup, we still have the magnificent 7 skating here tonight. That is 7 Michigan born and raised skaters playing with and against each other tonight here at the MTS Center in Winnipeg. Now, we all know about the Red Wings who are born and raised in Michigan. You can start it off with certainly Justin Abdelkader, who went to Mona Shores, Danny DeKaiser, the Warren De La Salle product, and Luke Glendening went to East Grand Rapids. Of course, there's a Michigan man. And, of course, Dylan Larkin working as a Michigan man as well. But while he was at Michigan, he played alongside Andrew Kopp. He's an Ann Arbor native. And then you've got Jacob Trouba, the Rochester native, who will be skating here tonight as well. And then there's Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender from Commerce Township, Michigan, who will start tonight against his hometown team for the very first time. So we can certainly understand that there will be some Red Wing fans at home who may be cheering for the blue and white tonight, not the red and white, because of their particular allegiances to some of the guys on that team. And I guess for tonight, Keats, we'll forgive them, but we'll still be cheering for a Red Wing win. Back to you inside the studio for now.
All right, Trev, right back to you in a matter of moments. By state in the National Hockey League, Minnesota has the most players with 32. Michigan is second with 27. New York has 21. Massachusetts 20. So Hellebuck gets the start tonight. What kind of butterflies are you imagining are swirling in the tummy of that young man tonight?
Well, his demeanor, he's such a low-key guy, but I think this one will have a little added juice because he's playing against the Red Wings.
All right, well, let's talk of the other goalie. And if you're a goalie, shots in the NHL sometimes feel like the breadsticks at the Olive Garden. They just keep coming, and you know they're not great for you, and you've got to kick them back into play. Jimmy Howard was pulled a week ago tonight when he allowed the New Jersey Devils 3 goals in a span of 2 minutes and 12 seconds. This is an absolutely huge start for Jimmy Howard, who has proven himself in the NHL.
Yeah, he sure has. And no goaltender likes to sit on an outing like that, abbreviated as it was, for a whole week. He'd rather get right back in there and play. He hasn't been able to. Mrazek's played great. So has Jimmy Howard for the most part this season. It's a 2-minute and 12-second span that undid him the other night. One bad goal, one that you would like to have as a goaltender, where you want to make that save for your team. You didn't make that third save, forcing the coach to make a play. And now Jimmy Howard, he has to go in there, and you hope as a goaltender, you haven't played for a week, you're looking for some easy touches early. You want to get into the game. Heaven forbid you have something, erroneous happen in the early going.
Well, you know this. Amnesia might be the best quality of every goaltender.
Yeah, but the thing is, the memories come flooding back if something bad happens early, so you're looking for some early saves, and you're not looking for quality saves, just some easy touches.
All right, well, maybe Jimmy Howard could stand out tonight, and we invite you to watch along with us. Not in the same room or anything, because that'd be creepy. But see if your pick matches ours for the McDonald's player of tonight's game. Mickey York will reveal our choice later tonight during Red Wings Live. It's brought to you by the all-day breakfast menu at McDonald's. Here's the thing with the bigger goalies that are all the rage these days. It takes bigger bodies or more of them to get, in the way. Consistently master it. That was especially true last night. We'll explore it next. Red Wings Live on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by Motor City Casino Hotel. Well, this is how it's done. Jeff Blashill said after the game on Saturday that it was one of the best games the Wings had played all year, in part because of the havoc created by Luke Glendening in this instance, which led to the Brendan Smith shot plodding its way past Pekka Rinne in a 3-2 Red Wings win. But there's a vast difference between shots at goal and shots on goal. The ats have very little chance of going in if they're not still moving when they become ons. It was an issue last night for the Wings, who until that game had taken great strides toward finding that most important and toughest to achieve aspect of their game.
You don't want to give up the possession by getting a block shot, and that's the new game. Is everybody's good at blocking shots. So if you get pucks on net, a good net front presence to take the eyes away from these goalies that are just so good nowadays, it definitely helps.
Defensive players are trying to box you out and trying to take your stick away. So you just gotta, you gotta be hard on your skates, be hard on your stick, and try to get those, fight for those second and third chances, because it's not easy in front of the net.
So the Wings ended up losing 3-1 to the Wild last night, and when we look back on it, it was basically a block party.
Yeah, ice block, I think we call it, because they iced the game by blocking the shots. Minnesota Wild, and there is a certain amount of that that you have to give them credit for, because it requires discipline and determination. They hadn't played well themselves before, so their coach, Mike Yeo, challenged them to play the game the right way. Well, they blocked 23 shots. The Red Wings had 59 shots at the goal, as you talked, but 29 of them, 30 of them were blocked or missed, most of them blocked. So those are the problems that some folks have with the Corsi numbers and the Fenwick numbers, because you heard how harsh the coach was on their effort in terms of not doing things the right way, and yet it shows possession-wise they had a pretty decent game, but it really wasn't.
Among Blashill's comments after the game last night was the fact that he thought they overpassed some and put themselves into position to have shots blocked.
Right, so instead of just putting the puck to the net first response and have other guys going there like they've been doing better lately, that wasn't the case last night.
All right, we continue to stare longingly every time we pass an Arby's, because if a Red Wing manages a hat trick in tonight's game, we'll march in there with a purpose. In such an instant, you can bring a copy of the scoring summary to Arby's tomorrow for that free small order of curly fries. They may be the most anonymous team in the league, at least to those of us in the States. Oh yes, Winnipeg, that's right, they have a team up there. It's in the middle of somewhere. We'll remind you about the potential hazards of playing these Jets when we come right back. You'll remember it was when the Thrashers moved to Winnipeg that the league reconfigured, allowing Detroit to finally slide east. The Jets now with residence in the Wings' former division, the Central. Our look around the league is presented by Xfinity. Winnipeg is last in that Central right now, and they're all looking up at the Dallas Stars, who have the best record in the NHL, with St. Louis and Minnesota and Chicago right on the heels of the Stars. It is 9 degrees Fahrenheit in Winnipeg right now, and before you think, oh my gosh, what a winter front that must be, it's always 9 degrees there. Mostly it's an optimistically 9 degrees there. It's the third time that the Wings will visit Winnipeg since the Thrash fled Atlanta, and it's a most intriguing team because it seems, Darren, that they're finally trying to build something. They've got this infusion of youth around some familiar names.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, they have some veterans, some guys that were there when they were the Thrashers. They went out and got Andrew Ladd and Dustin Byfuglien. Ladd is the captain. Byfuglien is really the voice and the heartbeat of the team, the franchise. They went out and made a huge trade for Tyler Myers and Jacob Trouba. They drafted it at 8th overall, first-round pick. They have a good team. They have good pieces. Are they going to be able to keep them all is the question, because Andrew Ladd and Dustin Byfuglien, their leaders, are both unrestricted free agents.
Did the Evander Kane, Zach Bogosian to Buffalo trade surprise you to get Myers in return? It seems like a great trade for Winnipeg.
Yeah, and it's been, on paper, a good trade as well for Buffalo, because Bogosian's a good, solid player, and Evander Kane is talented, but he has his issues, too.
All right. Well, up and down the Winnipeg lineup, as we've talked about, there are connections to the state of Michigan. And just imagine what the Jets goalie's reaction was when he looked at the schedule shortly after he was called up from the American Hockey League just a couple of weeks ago and saw that there was a chance right away to face his hometown team. With more on young Connor Hellebuck-Trevor's back with us now from Winnipeg. T.
Well, John, 22-year-old Connor Hellebuck hails from Commerce Township, Michigan, and tonight he'll get to live out a dream. He'll get to face his hometown team for the very first time in the NHL, but it's not the very first time this kid has had a taste of success. You can see him right there as a youngster. He attended Glengarry Elementary in Commerce Township, then moved on to Walled Lake Northern for 4 years, where his star began to rise. He was an all-state honorable mention as a junior and a senior, then went on to skate at UMass Lowell for a couple of seasons. He was the Hockey East Tournament MVP in back-to-back seasons, the only player ever to do that. Wound up being drafted in the 5th round by the Jets, went and played 58 games for their AHL affiliate, and now he's here in the NHL. He's coming off a shutout against the Pittsburgh Penguins in his last start, and now tonight will look to get his very first win against the team he grew up cheering for, the Red Wings, who will definitely have something to say about that as this one rolls on here at the MTS Center in Winnipeg tonight, John. Let's go back inside the studio to you for now.
All right, Trev, thanks. He's got postgame later tonight on Red Wings Live. Hockey players get a meal allowance when they're on the road, and chances are that some of the best food they get a chance to taste is paid for by someone else. It's not necessarily something that they cook, but some claim they can cook, as you'll hear in a moment. Red Wings Live tonight is brought to you by ZotAuto.com, home of Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, Ford, Toyota, and Scion. And by Priority Health, Michigan's healthier approach to healthcare. Wings and Jets coming up just after the top of the hour on Fox Sports Detroit. Having played last night, the Wings really didn't get much of a chance to enjoy that which Manitoba has to offer, the traditional foods like bison and moose and bannock, which is, I'm told, flatbread cooked over a fire, first brought to the plains by fur traders way back in the day. Apparently a precursor to pizza. Hockey players are machines who have to eat all the time. Cooking that food, well, it's a bit of a different story, however.
Barbecue for sure. A grill, maybe a steak and some asparagus, mushrooms, corn, and then some sweet potato.
I love barbecuing. I love steaks, lamb chops, stuff like that. My wife usually does the veggies and that part of it, and I do the meat. So any of that with a glass of red wine, I love that part of enjoying your food.
Filet,
Right.
mashed potatoes, broccoli, maybe a sweet potato.
Most of the time, if I'm cooking, it'll be meat sauce with either gluten-free spaghetti or bulgur or quinoa or something like that.
I like to do a very simple stuff, which is a steak, chicken, and shrimp, which I just turn a grill on and I just put it on.
I like to be on the grill. I like to cook up some steak, and pork cannoli I'm pretty good at, I think.
What about the sides?
Yeah, I do it all. What do you want? I don't get too fancy, but...
Mashed potatoes, asparagus, that
I do a
kind
pretty good mashed sweet potato. Yeah, I like that. You can't really mess it up though. It's already so good.
I'm not a very good cook, and that's why my girlfriend's a very good cook, but I can do a spaghetti. That's about pretty good, or grilled cheese if you want it. Either or, but yeah, I'm not the strongest cook, to say the least.
What are you making? Or what's your meal going to be? If you're cooking, you're in charge of everything. Not your girlfriend. This is on you. This is on you.
If it's on me, I would take her to the restaurant.
No. You gotta cook. You're gonna cook. What's it gonna be?
Maybe pasta with chicken or something like that. Something easy.
If I'm cooking, we're gonna all be hungry because I don't cook, and if I do, it's bad.
The theme there is steak on a grill. I think everybody's got that down. We'll explore more of the Michigan connection between a couple of players, and their school is one of 4 from the state taking part in a true hockey tradition. The latest on the GLI at the Joe, next. Red Wings Live is brought to you by Honda. Visit your Detroit area Honda dealers today or go to DetroitHondaDealers.com. Wings and Jets coming up. Dylan Larkin and Winnipeg's Andrew Kopp were teammates in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan last season. Their former school is in action tonight at the tradition-laden Great Lakes Invitational Tournament at the Joe. Michigan is playing Northern Michigan right now, and it is the Wolverines leading 1-0 after the one period of play. Earlier, the Michigan Tech Huskies and Michigan State Spartans squared off in the first game of the GLI. In the second period, just under 7 left in the second, Michigan State on the power play, a one-time pass from Michael Ferrantino to Mackenzie McEachran to make it 2-0 State. But the Huskies would tie it up late in the third. Mark Auk with an unselfish pass to Jake Lucchini. And watch, he'll just bury that. Then in overtime, tied at 2, Brent Baltus carries the puck into the zone. He'll rip it past Jake Hildebrand to secure their spot in the championship game. It's the third time this season the Tech has rallied from 2 goals down in the third period against MSU. You can watch Michigan, Northern Michigan right now on FoxSportsDetroit.com or via Fox Sports Go on your tablet. The winner of that game will advance to the GLI Championship against Tech tomorrow night at 7. You can see that live on Fox Sports Detroit as well. And the third place game that begins at 3:30. Fox Sports Detroit, again, proud to carry the GLI downtown. All right, back to the primary tenants of the Joe who annually clear out for the GLI. The Wings in Winnipeg coming up. And a promising sign is Pavel Datsyuk, who got a much-needed goal last night.
Yeah, he's been good, but the last couple of games, quiet offensively. But he was able to get to the spot and really show Again, do we have to talk about his hockey sense? Of course, one of the best ever. Got to the spot. Beautiful feed, actually, from Justin Navigator. And then there's the open net. And do you think Datsuk missed? No, not at all. He's had great numbers in his career. 18 points in 13 career games against the Jets franchise. Looking for him to have a big night tonight.
And he's got 6 points in his last 6 games, and the Wings need some offense from the Magic Man, and it won't be an easy task for his team tonight because for all the pimples that the Jets might have, they're terrific on their home ice. 10-5-1 at the MTS Center, 6-12-1 on the road. Jimmy Howard in goal for the Wings, who wrap up a 3-game odyssey away from the Joe. Ken Daniels and Chris Osgood in Winnipeg. Coming right up.